Right now it's hard to say what I want my legacy to be, what I want people to say when I'm long gone. At this point, right now, I'm going to say that I want people to see me as an entertainer, someone who can do it all. And that's how I was trained. And I want people to look at me as a full-on entertainer and a good person. So, we'll talk a few years down the line and we'll see where my head is at then. But that's what I want for right now. I say that everything is worth it. The hard work, the times when you're tired, the times when you're a bit sad, the good moments when you're on stage performing in front of thousands of people. In the end, it's all worth it because it really makes me happy. And I wouldn't trade it for anything else in the world. I honestly wouldn't. There's nothing better than loving what you do. I've got good friends, I've got beautiful family, and I've got a career that's blossoming and still growing, and I am truly blessed, and I thank God for his blessings every single chance I get.
Aaliyah Dana Halton was born on January 16, 1979, in Brooklyn, New York, to her mother, Diane Halton, and her father, Michael Halton. She also had an older brother named Rashad. Her name was Arabic, meaning highest, most exalted one, the best, and it's something that she would strive to live up to throughout her life. She would also get a nickname from her father on the day that she was born. The first time he held her in his arms, he proudly proclaimed that I have a beautiful baby girl, and that name would stick with her for the rest of her life. When she was 5 years old, her family would relocate from Brooklyn, New York to Detroit, Michigan, where Aaliyah would start attending a Catholic elementary school. When she was in the first grade, her school was having a play for the musical Annie. Aaliyah was casted in the play as well, and this would mark the beginning of her dreams of wanting to become a star. As soon as she stepped on stage and the spotlight was on her, she knew it was where she belonged.
Can't hit the note. Then we do visualization, we visualize the note down there, and they hit the note. I expect it, and they do it.
We're in the money.
At 9 years old, Aaliyah Houghton has already had quite a bit of theater experience, but says Suzanne's plays are more fun because they're more challenging.
I have this vivid memory of Aaliyah sitting so still and just staring up at me and soaking in everything that I would say. And that was really something very unique about her.
The very first time you met her, you knew she was something special.
Her shining, and she said, "It's a dime." And then she put up her arms and with her eyes wide open, "We're in the money." I think that was the moment when she connected and she thought, this is it. This is what I love doing.
Her mother was a vocalist who would often sing around the house, and Aaliyah would attempt to emulate her mom. They shared a very close relationship, and one of the things that they enjoyed doing the most was watching the hit 1980s TV show, Star Search. They watched it every week religiously, and Aaliyah would daydream about her being one of the contestants on the TV screen. She knew that she wanted to be a famous singer. Her mom would enroll her into voice lessons to help her sharpen her skills. Aaliyah began to perform at small venues around Detroit, weddings, charity events, as well as a member of the church choir. And soon Aaliyah's hard work would pay off. Her mom told her about their favorite TV show, Star Search, holding open auditions in Detroit, and Aaliyah knew that this could be her opportunity to make it big. Her brother Rashad stated that he must have heard the song My Funny Valentine's over 1,000 times, as Aaliyah would constantly sing it around the house in preparation for her big opportunity on Star Search.
Aaliyah would hear my mom sing, and she would emulate her, and they would sing songs together. Like they would, especially around Christmas time, they would sing a lot of Christmas carols together, and it would just be beautiful. They'd do harmonies and everything together.
It was my mommy's song, and I wanted to be like my mommy. My mother and I never missed Star Search. We watched it every week, and I always wanted to be on it. So we heard there was an open audition, and I went, and they liked me. And they gave me a private audition, and they wanted me to do the show.
Aaliyah put on a great performance for the Star Search cast and director. They ultimately decided to bring her on to the show, and on November 10th, 1989, Aaliyah's dream would become a reality. She performed a flawless rendition of the song My Funny Valentine, as well as charming the audience with her personality. But unfortunately for Aaliyah, that wouldn't be enough for her to win the competition.
Person with a big voice and an even bigger dream. From Detroit, Michigan, welcome 10-year-old Aaliyah Hutton.
Not if you care for me. Stay, little Valentine. Stay.
Now, Aaliyah, you're a great singer. What else do you do?
Well, of course, I love to sing, and I love to dance and act, and I love swimming.
All right, let's find out what the judges have to say. The decision is coming. Katrina Abrams receives 4 stars. A perfect score. Her challenger, Aaliyah Hutton, receives 3 1/4 stars. Okay.
I was like, oh, you know, and that was pretty. It was a big blow, you know. That was tough for her to lose. But what was amazing was she dried her tears, and she went back out, and she sat in the audience, and she watched the rest of the show, and that to me embodied Aaliyah.
Despite the tough loss on Star Search, Aaliyah maintained a positive attitude. She knew that she had a bright future in the entertainment business, and she was going to pursue her dreams no matter what. And Aaliyah had good reason to be optimistic. Her uncle, Barry Hankerson, was a well-known entertainment lawyer, and in 1974, he married a woman by the name of Gladys Knight, the lead singer of the legendary and world-famous Gladys Knight and the Pips. Despite being related through marriage, Gladys treated Aaliyah as if she was her daughter. She was very fond of the young entertainer and knew that she could be extremely special if her skills were molded in the right way. And Gladys knew that she was just the person to do that. So at 11 years old, Aaliyah was off to New York City to pursue her dreams in the world of entertainment. Gladys would use her connections in the industry to get Aaliyah different auditions, not just for potentially landing a record deal, but also for commercials and TV shows as well, such as Family Matters. She would also bring Aaliyah out on some of her tour dates, letting her perform in front of large crowds. And she would amaze the audience with her angelic voice.
And we talked about it, and I thought Aaliyah would be great if we just did a guest spot with her. I loved her attitude about it. You know, even though she was only 11 years old, she was very coachable. You know, it's like, okay, Aaliyah, let's do it this way. Or when I do this, you do that. Quick study she was. It was really amazing, her grasp of it. And I think it was her love of it that made her so good at it.
But despite Aaliyah being extremely talented with a bright future, record executives disagreed and multiple labels would pass up on her, and she wasn't gaining a lot of traction in the world of show business. Her uncle Barry Hankerson would also use every connection that he had, trying to help his niece land a record deal. At the time, he was managing an up-and-coming singer out of Chicago named Robert Kelly, who was the lead singer of an R&B group by the name of Public Announcement. But it was obvious that Robert was the real star of the group.
They used to come in here, imagine me being up on the shelves. And one day I'm gonna be up on the shelf, man. And look at that, bam, here I am. A lot of people, they get into the business once they make their first hit or their first album, they start relaxing. But, you know, we don't do that, man. We hungry.
Going by the name of R. Kelly, he would sign a solo deal with Jive Records, and they knew that they had a potential superstar on their hands. The label wanted to accommodate him in every way, including helping out his manager Barry Hankerson. And in 1993, he was able to parlay his relationship with R. Kelly into his own record label, Blackground. Aaliyah was the flagship artist of the label. Her uncle would exhaust all of his resources to make sure that she was a success. The first thing that he knew he needed to do was get her with the right producer that could give her the right sound. So at 12 years old, he introduced her to R. Kelly and put her under his supervision as she prepared to record her debut album. He believed that it was a good idea, with R. Kelly being a generational songwriter and Aaliyah's smooth voice and star appeal. There was no way it wasn't a winning combination. And in January of 1993, Aaliyah would fly out to Chicago and began laying down tracks with R. Kelly for her debut. And on June 11, 1994, her debut album, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, would be released on Jive Records. It would peak at number 3 on the Billboard Top 200 and go on to reach double platinum status.
Billboard posters with your name on it and it says Aaliyah. What happens? I mean, do you go past, do you acknowledge it or do you just kind of...
I do. I acknowledge it. I went to Fairland and they had a poster and I was like, oh wow, there goes me. And it's a good feeling now.
So she's famous, she's rich, and the only thing she seems vague about is how old she is.
My age is going around. It's like I just never really say it, so you can't hear it from me. But I'm in my mid-teens.
Mid-teens, okay. I suppose you could define that either way.
You know, 15, 16, 17.
The album was nominated for multiple awards, and Aaliyah would join the ranks of young up-and-coming singers in the music industry, ushering in the new era of R&B, including Brandy and Monica. But despite her newfound fame, Aaliyah stayed humble. She would attend Ford Theater School for the Performing Arts in Detroit, and even though she had a hectic schedule as a recording artist, she attended school just like a normal student. Those who knew Aaliyah from her time in school always stated that she had an almost angelic type of presence and that she was a very sweet person. From the outside looking in, Aaliyah was living out her dreams as a rising star. She was inspired by some of the greatest singers in music history, including the legendary Whitney Houston and the multi-talented Janet Jackson. But her biggest influence was that of the iconic singer Sade. She felt that they both had similar styles due to their smooth and sultry voices, as well as having somewhat of a mysterious aura about them.
I totally looked up to Sade. I thought she was absolutely amazing as far as music was concerned. I loved her style, her grace. She was just everything to me as far as a music artist was concerned.
Now, Aaliyah, when you were a teenager, who would you have been excited to meet?
Sade.
Wow.
Oh, right? Sade, she's everything
That's
to me.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I still want to meet Sade.
I know, AJ says it every day. When is Sade coming? When is Sade?
Okay.
She's coming
beautiful.
soon.
She's gorgeous. She's an amazing artist.
During the press run for the album Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, she was frequently seen with R. Kelly. They spent a lot of time together, which is somewhat normal for a producer to spend a lot of time with an artist, especially when they're working on an album. But there started to be whispers in the music industry that the connection between R. Kelly and Aaliyah was far beyond that of just producer and talent, and that the 27-year-old R. Kelly had started an inappropriate relationship with Aaliyah. But whenever the two made public appearances together, they would aggressively deny these reports, saying that they only had a strong friendship and that they were lies and that the media was just making things up.
At a young age, at 5, she was singing around the house and her mother saw that she could hold a note. So as she went to elementary school and they had to play, she would be involved in that. And we saw a talent there, so we began to develop her. She was taking vocal lessons. We began to shop her around with different record companies. Then she was heard by Clive Calder from Jive Records, and he recognized the talent at 13, and then he figured she was a little young at that point, and began producing her at 15, which is when, Robert Kelly and my brother-in-law, took her into his label.
Right now I'm producing a very talented lady, young lady. She's 14, Aaliyah. You know what, Leah? Sound real cool. Sound real cool. What we need to do, when you're doing your click thing, I want you to, how's the first time? All my homies in the house and everything. You real funky with it. I just want you to lift up on your tone and just have fun, you know, like you was doing earlier. Just have a little fun with it. Hey, Aaliyah.
Yo.
That first verse is funky, right? What I want you to do is, I want you to try to get into it just a little bit more for me. Just get into it a little more, make it a little more street, all right?
All right.
Sound good, though, baby.
Despite R. Kelly and Aaliyah constantly stating that there wasn't anything romantic going on between them, in early 1995, MTV would have breaking news that a marriage certificate had been found in Illinois, stating in August of 1994, a 27-year-old R. Kelly married an 18-year-old Aaliyah, even though she was only 15 during that time.
Love man, hip-hop star R. Kelly did indeed marry his protege, the 15-year-old singer Aaliyah Houghton. Kelly stated his age as 27, 2 years older than he previously claimed to be, and Aaliyah produced 2 pieces of ID that appeared to show her to be 18. But Aaliyah's publicists continue to insist that she's 15. The Budweiser company dropped her from its Superfest tour because it felt she was too young to be on the road, and most convincingly, the Detroit High School of the Performing Arts acknowledged that Aaliyah is in fact a 10th grade student there. Whether or not she's in legal trouble for passing off fake ID remains to be seen. We will keep you posted.
Now, you started off, R. Kelly produced you. And you got out there, and I mean, he's produced a couple of projects this year, but yours was the most successful outside of his own that he's done. And of course, you know, there was some controversy going on, so I'm gonna cut to the chase and we're gonna get it off. I know everybody asks it. What is the situation? Because we don't know.
Okay, we'll let you know. To let you know. No. But no, really, I want to let everybody know that it's not true. I'm Aaliyah, not Aaliyah Kelly. And it's just, you know, it's not true. But I think, you know, hey, this comes with the territory. When you're in this business, people are going to talk. So I just ignore it.
All right, you heard it right from her mouth. You didn't have to hear from nobody else.
Reports claim that they were married in a hotel suite near O'Hare Airport in Chicago, but there wasn't anything wedding-like or festive about the situation, according to R. Kelly's then tour manager, Demetrius Smith. He said that everybody was dressed in regular clothes, and that during the ceremony, he happened to make eye contact with Aaliyah, and even though she didn't say a word, her eyes were asking for help. After their rushed wedding, they would get on a private jet and head to Miami, Florida, for what R. Kelly described as their honeymoon. His former road manager, Demetrius Smith, would later apologize in multiple interviews for his role in the situation. It's been alleged that he was the person to help R. Kelly get falsified documents stating that Aaliyah was 18 in order to make the marriage legal.
For me to write for her.
And Aaliyah speaks very fondly of her guide and mentor too.
He's really silly. And when I got tired, we go to the movies, we go eat or whatever. And it was a lot of fun working with him. He was a really cool guy.
In fact, they got on so well that a rumour quickly spread that Aaliyah and R. Kelly were an item. But when we interviewed Aaliyah, we were told not to ask any questions about it and were constantly shadowed by minders to make sure we didn't.
It's said that when Aaliyah's uncle and acting manager Barry Hankerson found out what was going on between his niece and R. Kelly, he was extremely upset. But that paled in comparison to the anger felt by Aaliyah's father, Michael Houghton. He didn't want his daughter to have anything to do with or be around R. Kelly at all. In February of 1995, the marriage would be annulled by her parents, and Barry Hankerson would be dropped as her manager. Her father, Michael Houghton, would take over the managerial duties. Aaliyah would be released from her contract with Jive Records, although she would remain under her uncle's record label Blackground. And after their alleged marriage was annulled, it's said that R. Kelly and Aaliyah's parents came to an agreement that in exchange for the rights of Aaliyah's first 3 albums, they would sign an NDA saying that they would never speak about R. Kelly or the situation. Her parents would also file documents with the state of Illinois to have any records of the marriage expunged. Aaliyah was ready to get past all of the media scrutiny surrounding the R. Kelly situation and move on with her life and her career. But as Aaliyah hit the studio to begin working on her second album, it was obvious that the situation with R. Kelly not just affected her personally, it affected her professionally as well. According to her cousin Jomo Hankerson, the son of Barry Hankerson, who had become a part of Aaliyah's team, he said that it was hard finding producers to help work on her second album. People that were in the industry was well aware of the situation between her and R. Kelly and were taking sides, with R. Kelly being a generational talent and a genius songwriter as well as producer. A lot of people in the industry decided to ride with him.
Some people expressing questions not about him, but about her. You know, is she perhaps not the kind of artist that we want to be promoting in our publications or other media?
The fact that, you know, some people weren't sure and didn't really think I had what it took, you know, of course it was painful. Rejection is painful, but, you know, I felt deep in my heart and in my soul that I had it and that I would do it and that I could do it. And I honestly believed that no matter what anybody said. And I continued and I said, fine, you don't want me, somebody else will. And I will prove it. I will get out there and I will be a star.
People on her team would listen to different demo tapes, looking for producers and songwriters, but they couldn't find the right sound. Until one day, Aaliyah's mom was listening to a demo tape, and she liked what she heard. She thought Aaliyah might be interested as well and let her hear it. She absolutely loved the song and the sound. It was so futuristic and completely different from anything that was out during that time. And that's exactly what Aaliyah wanted, was to be different and to stand out. Aaliyah didn't care that they weren't big-name producers. She knew that their sound was special, and with her voice, it could take their music to the next level. The name of the producers who made the demo tape that had Aaliyah's ear was Timothy Mosley, aka Timbaland, as well as Melissa Elliott, also known as Missy Misdemeanor Elliott. They were formerly a part of a hip-hop collective coming out of Virginia known as the Basement Crew, with a roster full of future stars. Established in the early 90s by Devontae Swing of the legendary Jodeci, he wanted to create a new Motown in Virginia with some of the best young up-and-coming talent. He had the singer Tweet, the all-girl group Sister featuring Missy Elliott, as well as Playa, along with Static Major, a young R&B singer by the name of Ginuwine, and the rap duo Timbaland and Magoo. For years, they stayed at Devontae's mansion, almost never leaving the studio in the basement, completely focused on creating innovative sounds and new music. But personal and music industry politics would cause Devontae to fall out with his artist, and by the mid-90s, the Swing Mob Collective was disbanded, putting Missy Elliott and Timbaland back at square one, trying to make it in the music industry. Until they got a surprise phone call from Aaliyah saying that she was gonna fly them out to New York City so they could help her work on her sophomore album. According to Timbaland, the first time everyone was in the studio together, they were extremely nervous. No one knew what was to come. He also stated that he had to gain his composure because he was completely stunned by Aaliyah's beauty and her angelic presence. He had to remind himself that it would always be a professional relationship and nothing more, especially due to the fact that he was 24 and Aaliyah was 16 during that time.
First met Aaliyah. It's time for the world to hear this. I'm gonna give up a little secret. I was in love with her. I said, but I'm not, she's just a baby. I'm old. I said to myself, I'm just gonna be her brother. Oh man, I was fighting a big war. But I love Aaliyah.
They called it high-tech soul due to the futuristic sounds in their production, but you can still feel that R&B soul in it as well. Aaliyah, Timbaland, and Missy formed a very tight bond. They also began to call Aaliyah the nickname that her family gave to her, Baby Girl. And after putting in countless hours at the studio, the end result would be a groundbreaking album titled 1 in a Million, led by singles such as If Your Girl Only Knew, 4-Page Letter, and Hot Like Fire. But Aaliyah would run into some issues on her biggest single from the album, titled 1 in a Million. According to her cousin Jomo Hankerson, who was a part of her team, a lot of radio stations didn't want to play the single. They told Barry Hankerson, the CEO of Blackground Records, that they refused to play a song that had crickets in the background. It seemed like Missy and Timbaland's style was a little bit too innovative and too futuristic for radio DJs. Atlantic Records told Aaliyah to make a remix of the song, something that was more radio friendly, but Barry Hankerson refused. He believed in the song and knew that it could be a hit. Once the single was released, it would go straight to the top of the Billboard charts.
The record sold more than 1 million copies and reached number 18 on the Billboard charts.
That was the type of person that Aaliyah was. She was not afraid to take risks, and that album really showed her maturity and her development as an artist, I think, definitely.
And on August 13th, 1996, Aaliyah would release her sophomore album, 1 in a Million, and it would go on to sell over 3 million copies. After the major success of the 1 in a Million album, Aaliyah, Timbaland, and Missy had changed the sound of R&B forever.
Congratulations on the album.
Thank you.
It's done incredibly well.
I need to thank the fans for supporting me because it's double platinum because of them. So I thank them and the Lord all the time, definitely.
And you worked with some excellent people on it. I know
yes.
You did 6 of the tracks with Timbaland and Missy.
7, yeah. They did half of the album. Wow. Much love to my crew, Timbaland and Missy and everybody.
He called me and was like, hey, we got this opportunity to do something on Aaliyah. You know, we still new. Nobody really knows who we are. I'm like, Tim, you know, what we gonna do? Yo, let's just give her our old sound. Nobody never heard it. It'll be like a new sound. That sound was 4 years old to us. I mean, I played it for after I had demoed the vocals. So, because that's me at the beginning saying, love you, baby.
Like, we created this sound, me, Missy, Static, rest in peace, always created this sound, this basement sound. We created this sound by loving music, just loving it every day, just creating. We created a bounce. That's that triplets, what I came out with. You know what I'm saying? So when we got with Aaliyah, she flew us out there. Missy said we should give her that sound that we was working on in the basement. And that's when I did 1 in a Million.
After the success of 1 in a Million, it would be another 5 years before Aaliyah would release another album. But in the meantime, she would remain extremely visible as the princess of R&B, making multiple cameo appearances in different artists' video whom she had a connection to, such as One More Chance by Biggie, Crush on You by Lil' Kim, and Make It Hot by Nicole Ray. She also supported her musical mentors when they decided that they wanted to show they could be more than just producers, that they could be successful artists as well. When Timbaland released his album with the rapper Magoo, Welcome to Our World, Aaliyah was on their first single. In the summer of 1997, Aaliyah would graduate from Detroit Performing Arts High School with a perfect 4.0 GPA. According to her childhood friends who attended school with Aaliyah in Detroit, said she always remained the same sweet, kind, and humble person, despite becoming one of the biggest stars in the entertainment world.
Aaliyah's life had settled into a non-stop stream of public appearances, video shoots, and concerts. But she still found time to be a teenager.
One thing I liked about her is as I saw that her career was growing, she always remains just sort of like one of the other kids. Very nice young lady, very pleasant.
Aaliyah was her own person, but she shared all that she was with others.
For nearly 2 years, she dropped out of sight, concentrating on finishing high school.
And she was the same sweet person. Never, ever, 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 ever changed.
She would also be featured on the soundtrack of multiple popular movies, such as Journey to the Past from the Anastasia soundtrack in early 1998. But it wouldn't be until later that year where she would really own the summer, when she released the classic song Are You That Somebody featuring Timbaland. From the soundtrack of the movie Dr. Dolittle starring Eddie Murphy. It got major play on radio airwaves, quickly rising up the charts, garnering Aaliyah a Grammy Award nomination. That same year, Aaliyah would also become the youngest artist to ever perform at the Academy Awards.
album's real tight.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
What's your favorite Aaliyah cut right now?
I gotta tell you, that's somebody. I mean, that song it's amazing. Like, I figured, I hope that people are gonna like it, but for it to do what it's done is really shocking. And once again, I gotta thank the fans, and I gotta thank God, because he's definitely blessed me.
She would also contribute to the 1999 Ice Cube film Next Friday with the song I Don't Wanna Be for the movie soundtrack, and it would reach number 5 on the R&B Billboard charts, helping the album go gold. Aaliyah's star power was undeniable. She had overcame a lot in her career, and now she was one of the most successful young artists in music. She had influence in the fashion world as well. In the 90s, she would become a model for one of the hottest brands during that time, Tommy Hilfiger, furthering her visibility around the world. And her family couldn't have been any more proud of her, especially her mother Diane.
My father has beautiful chestnut eyes. I got my voice from my mother. I think I walk like my mom. Everyone says we look exactly alike. I got Tommy jeans. What else? He's not my dad, but I got Tommy jeans.
This is something Aaliyah has always wanted to do. Oh, very proud of her. You know, she wouldn't have to do this for me to be proud of her, but this just adds to it. You know, I'm proud of everything she does. She's a beautiful, lovely young woman.
Thank you, Mama.
Thank you very much.
After performing at the Academy Awards and being surrounded by some of the most famous actors and actresses in the world, Aaliyah was once again bitten by the acting bug. She started to reminisce about her time in elementary school, acting in school plays. It's something that she always wanted to do, but her musical dreams had consumed her career so far. It's said that earlier in her career, she was offered the lead role opposite of Leonardo DiCaprio in the 1996 film Romeo and Juliet. She turned it down due to the timing being off. She didn't feel like it was the right time to break into acting. Things were different now though. Aaliyah had solidified herself as a force in the pop and the R&B world, and she was ready to become one of the brightest young movie starlets in Hollywood. And she would soon get her opportunity to shine. In the late 90s, movie director Joe Silver began to have ideas of creating a fresh new martial arts film, and he wanted a leading lady that had star power. Even though Aaliyah didn't have much acting experience, the director was convinced that she was the woman for the role. In May of 1999, they would begin production on the project. Aaliyah would play opposite of martial arts superstar Jet Li, and Aaliyah couldn't have been any more excited or humble about her opportunity to star in her very first movie. Her castmates would speak highly of her professionalism and how much of a delightful person she was to be around. The movie would be released on March 22nd of 2000, and it would become a box office success. On a $25 million budget, it would pull in $91 million at the box office. Not to mention a platinum-selling soundtrack, where Aaliyah would serve as the catalyst, contributing 2 hit singles, one of them being Try Again, featuring Timbaland, and longtime songwriting collaborator Static Major, as well as a hit song featuring one of her castmates from the movie, the legendary rapper DMX, on a track called Back in One Piece that got major radio play during the summer of 2000. And thanks to the success of the Romeo Must Die soundtrack, Aaliyah would win an MTV VMA award for her single Try Again.
She was a big fan of these type of movies, and she wanted to do a big action picture like this. And so she came down to see us, and besides being absolutely gorgeous and funny and sweet and just an incredible girl, she, you know, said, look, I'm a dancer, I can do all this stuff, let's try to do this together.
Now, you've been working it with these movies. Were you nervous?
Very nervous, but I'm real happy. It's something I've wanted for a long time, so to finally make that transition, it's great.
You're doing another movie this summer, right?
Hopefully if things work out, everything will be rolling.
That's great. What's up, what's up? This is Beyonce on the red carpet with one of the hottest female artists out here, Miss Aaliyah. How you doing, girl?
It's so good to see you again.
You too. She's just looking fabulous. What are you wearing tonight?
I'm wearing Gucci shoes, Gucci. Got a little Indian jewelry working.
Oh, that is hot.
Wow. Yo, this is a shock.
This is a big shock.
She thanked everyone, and she looked at me and she said,
My brother Rashad, I love you. You're my everything.
"You are my everything."
Okay, what if he wins? So I never really prepared myself for that. So when they called my name, I was like, oh wow, I'm actually gonna win this one. So getting up there on the podium and speaking, it was a shock. I was extremely nervous.
Following the success of Romeo Must Die, Aaliyah would be offered another lucrative movie role. The directors of the Matrix franchise reached out to Aaliyah personally and told her that they wanted her to be a part of the second installment of the series. Aaliyah was overjoyed that the directors chose her. She was already a fan of the first film. And when production started, Aaliyah's castmates would once again speak about her angelic nature.
She just was such an illuminating presence. She just had that attitude of like, I'm getting ready to conquer the world. But at the same time, had this smile of innocence and warmth.
During breaks in filming for the Matrix movie, Aaliyah would also find time to film scenes for another upcoming role that she had. In a movie called Queen of the Damned, a remake of the 1988 Anne Rice classic novel, Aaliyah would play the role of Queen Akasha, an ancient evil vampire. She was really looking forward to playing the role, showing her dark side, something that people wasn't used to seeing from her. Aaliyah was seeing success in her love life as well. There were rumors that she had started dating her longtime songwriter Static Major from the group Player, but those rumors were never substantiated. What is known is that she started a very public relationship with another high-profile individual in the music industry, the CEO of the legendary Rockefeller Records, Damon Dash. And in August of 2000, their relationship would begin. He stated that Jay-Z attempted to date Aaliyah as well, but in the end, he was the one that she chose. And it's said that the love triangle between Dame, Jay-Z, and Aaliyah would contribute to the downfall of the iconic Rockefeller record label.
How'd y'all meet?
Well, I first met her like a basketball game, but I wasn't really looking at her like that. The thing about Aaliyah was like every time I saw her, she looked different. So she had different looks every time, and I was like, who the fuck is that? Jay was trying to get at her as well, and I didn't know, but it never worked out for them. So that was like the big deal, like who could get with Aaliyah.
Was he bitter?
Obviously. Yeah, he felt the way.
They always made time for one another despite their busy schedules, and according to those around them, it was plain to see that they were deeply in love. 2001 was slated to be the year of Aaliyah. Not only was she continuing filming on the Matrix franchise, she was also finishing up production for her starring role in the Queen of the Damned movie, as well as going back to her first love, music. It had been 5 years since she released an album, but throughout the year she had hit singles on popular movie soundtracks that kept her relevant and visible in the public eye. She decided to self-title the album Aaliyah because she felt that it was a true representation of her. It was her vision and her direction, and she was really starting to come into her own as a young woman. With this album she wanted, it sounded very futuristic and different than anything else on the radio.
Magic. When we first met each other back in '96, we clicked immediately, and it's been like that ever since. And I think when you have a chemistry like that with someone, there's no reason to leave.
By this time, Aaliyah's brother Rashad had taken over the majority of the managerial duties in her career, although her mom and dad continued to play a role from the background. Aaliyah and her brother were as close as siblings could be. They shared an unbreakable bond. She stated that nobody knew her like her brother, and whenever they were around each other, it was non-stop laughter.
We're like this. We're best buddies.
He's slightly protective, but that's normal. You know what I mean? But I'm very normal.
What girl have I worked with you?
I like the few girls. I like your other girlfriends a lot.
What happened?
You didn't like her. You broke off with her. It wasn't me.
Oh, I think that is the case.
See?
My brother's with me almost all the time.
This is my first film in Paris. I'm so excited.
We're very close. You know, it's great to have a brother that you can be so tight with.
I want to know where he is at all times. You can go how about
That's because
he's a grown man, but I want to.
Love.
Exactly.
Aaliyah would use the summer of 2001 to travel the world, doing promotion for her upcoming album. It was nonstop interviews, events, and the paparazzi followed everywhere. But Aaliyah embraced it. She knew that it came with the territory. It was just a part of being a star. She would also film with MTV for a show that they had called Diary, giving fans an inside look at the lives of some of their favorite artists. And Aaliyah wanted to show that she was ready to take the world over by any means necessary.
She's an aggressive woman who's out to get what she wants to get, you know what I'm saying, ambitious, and they want to say, you know, when a male is assertive and gets what he wants, he's looked at as a strong male, but yet when I get it, you know, I'm a bitch.
Exactly.
And if that's what I gotta be,
exactly,
to get what I want and to make it somewhere, then I'll just be there.
During her episode, Aaliyah got to introduce the members of her team, from the people who did wardrobe to those who did her hair and security. It was plain to see that they were all extremely close, and everybody loved Aaliyah, and she treated them just like family. They would film their trip to France, showing the hectic everyday lifestyle of an international pop star.
I'm done. I just finished the last interview, and I'm very happy. Tomorrow I get to go home. Right now I'm trying to set up for a little massage, a little massagey, a little waxy, you know, pamper her. Eric, I'm speaking there. I got to pamper her. Her has to be pampered. She's got to be pampered.
Aaliyah would continue to do press for her upcoming third album, and on July 7th, 2001, it would be released, debuting at number 2 on the Billboard charts and the highest first week sales of Aaliyah's career. But despite the initial success upon its release, the album sales began to decline. Their parent company, Atlantic Records, started to put pressure on Blackground to get more units sold. They scheduled Aaliyah to go on the biggest concert tour of her career in order to support the project. And Atlantic Records told Barry Hankerson that they quickly needed to put out a second single in order to help raise the sales. The second single would be titled Rock the Boat, and it was already getting major play from radio stations across the country. It was only right to film a music video and have legendary director Hype Williams come up with the concepts and visuals. He wanted the video to have an exotic island type of vibe, so they decided to film in Miami, but instead of using one of the dozens of beaches there, Hype Williams decided to go to the University of Miami and use their Olympic-sized pool.
We're gonna line up the
rhinestones, fabric, all of that. So, try to get it done quickly. I don't know how long I can last under this.
Head back. Okay. And there's
You know what? Let's go ahead. They're ready?
But from the very start of production, they were having issues. Hype Williams was trying to get a particular shot, a shot that required Aaliyah to go deep underwater. They got different breathing devices to help Aaliyah underwater, but nothing was working. And it said that it got to the point where it was holding up production. And eventually, Aaliyah would have to use her own swimming skills to get the job done, going 15 feet deep in the water, all while dealing with the constraints of wearing a mermaid outfit and full makeup. So in the opening shots of the music video where Aaliyah was looking so peaceful, it was really a time where she was the most concerned and scared, but she made it look effortless and her beauty was flawless. After about a week of filming, they were wrapping up production for the music video, and nobody was more excited than Aaliyah. She was tired and exhausted. She traveled the world on business in anticipation for her upcoming album release. But now, Aaliyah was looking forward to a vacation, and what better place to do it than Miami? Her boyfriend Dame Dash also knew that the music video was wrapping up, and he flew down to Miami so he could be with Aaliyah. When they had previously met up, Dame Dash let Aaliyah hear some of his newest artists that he had signed, including a rapper out of Philadelphia named Freeway, who was with the State Property crew. She loved Freeway's voice and the way that he rapped, and told Dame Dash that she wanted to work with him one day. So that was the plan. Once filming wrapped, Aaliyah was supposed to meet Dame at the studio. They were going to record a quick song with Freeway. Then they would begin their vacation together. But at the last minute, the music video director Hype Williams told Aaliyah that they needed to get more authentic beach footage for the video. The news really upset Aaliyah. For months, she was traveling all over the world with countless media obligations with no vacation, spending hours in the studio recording songs for her upcoming album, filming movies and music videos, as well as countless interviews. The schedule was exhausting. But being the professional that she was, Aaliyah went along with Hype Williams' plan to travel to the Bahamas to get more footage for the video. But Aaliyah didn't let her unhappiness show in the behind-the-scenes footage for the music video. There are multiple clips of her laughing and having fun with her team, enjoying each other's company, and enjoying the Bahamas. One day during filming, her choreographer Fatima Robinson saw Aaliyah taking a nap. She knew how tired she was from her hectic schedule. But in that moment, she looked so peaceful and angelic. Fatima said that she had to capture the moment. And it's been said that this was the last photo taken of Aaliyah. That was the last day of filming. And the next day, in the early morning hours of August 25th, 2001, Aaliyah told him that she had just saw the plane that she was scheduled to get on later that day and that she didn't feel comfortable. Dame said that he instructed her not to get on the plane no matter what, and that other things were talked about as well, but he refuses to disclose the information. Aaliyah's transportation back to Miami was becoming an issue. Somehow legendary rock star Lenny Kravitz heard about Aaliyah's situation in the Bahamas, so he sent out his own personal private jet. But instead of Aaliyah using the aircraft like it was planned, it's been alleged that the music video director Hype Williams would use the jet to make it back to Miami, leaving Aaliyah and her team to take the small light engine aircraft that, according to witnesses, was in very bad shape. They chartered the plane through Black Hawk International Airways, a company that specialized in airplane rentals, leases, and charters. At 6:15 that evening, the 402 Cessna jet would arrive, ready for Aaliyah and her team to board. But Aaliyah wouldn't walk onto the aircraft. According to witnesses, she was visibly asleep, almost as if she was in a sedated state, and someone had to carry her on board the aircraft. It's been said that the captain of the plane, Luis Morales, protested with Aaliyah's team, telling them that they were bringing too much luggage for the small aircraft. But it's said that members of Aaliyah's team stated that it was extremely important that the aircraft leave now. And for some reason, the captain of the plane, Luis Morales, conceded to their wishes, despite knowing the dangers of flying overweight. Not to mention that there was 9 people total on a plane only meant to carry 8. At 6:45 p.m., the aircraft was on the runway ready to take flight, but as soon as the pilot took off, he immediately ran into issues as the plane began to sway back and forth. They didn't even make it to 100 feet of altitude before the plane completely turned to its left side and began to nosedive, crashing into a nearby marsh and catching fire. Everyone on board would pass away upon impact due to blunt force trauma and severe burns. Everyone except for Aaliyah's bodyguard, Scott Galen. And it's said that he spent his last moments asking the first responders, was Aaliyah okay, before losing consciousness. Aaliyah's death sent her family into a state of shock, especially her brother Rashad, who prided himself on being her biggest cheerleader and her protector. He just couldn't wrap his mind around how this happened. He stated that their family was there for every music video that Aaliyah made throughout her career, and the one time that they weren't there, this unspeakable tragedy occurred.
My mom was hysterical. I was, what's going on? What's going on? And she could barely speak, and told me, and my first reaction was pretty much to just scream, because I just didn't, I couldn't grasp it. I couldn't put my psyche around anything like that happening. It just didn't make any sense.
The plane crash that killed a rising star in the world of music and film. Reaction today after Aaliyah and 8 others were killed when their plane went down.
Aaliyah's life started here in New York City, born in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. But as a child, she moved to Detroit, where friends today remembered this young star.
Aaliyah was my best friend. She was a beautiful person. on the inside and out. And I'm just shocked.
The video was shot in Miami, part of it, and then it was kind of added on that she would have to go to the Bahamas to shoot some footage. She really didn't want to get, when she saw the little plane, you know, she really wasn't too comfortable with that, you know.
After Aaliyah's tragic passing, reports began to come out in regards to the pilot of the plane, saying that he wasn't qualified and may have been under the influences of substances during the time of the crash. The entertainment world and her fans would mourn the loss of Aaliyah. Many people just didn't understand how this tragedy could occur. But after an investigation was conducted by the FAA, it seems as if a series of unfortunate events was the reason behind the tragic crash. But some people felt as if that wasn't a good enough explanation and that it was something more sinister behind the death of the beloved pop star. There would be multiple tributes to the late singer at multiple award shows, including the 2001 MTV VMAs, where Ginuwine, Missy, and Timbaland gave a very emotional speech, stating how much she meant to them and how much they loved Aaliyah.
We're here today to pay tribute to one of the funniest, loveliest, most down-to-earth person we know. Aaliyah was deeply loved and would be so deeply missed. I think I speak for all of us standing here when I say she was definitely one in a million.
To the world and to her fans, Aaliyah was known as Aaliyah, but to us, her extended family was known as Baby Girl. And I think that what we got to learn out of this is to appreciate each other while we're here on earth and never take for granted that someone will be here tomorrow.
My music inspiration, Aaliyah, will never be forgotten. Your music will always live on through me.
But even though they were known for being a very close-knit crew, at the time of her death, Aaliyah wasn't on speaking terms with Missy or Timbaland. Some people speculated that it was personal issues that came between them, but according to Ginuwine, it was the music business and politics that separated them.
Unfortunately, we weren't talking when she passed. She wasn't talking to Timbaland, or I think her and Missy fell out as well. Oh, but wow. We still had love. Everyone was still loving and all that. But it's just the business, and when you're young, people can separate you, you know, and you don't know how or why. You just are.
Regardless of the issues that they may have had at the time of her death, Missy Elliott would make it a priority to constantly shout out Aaliyah and keep her memory alive. Like in the music video for her song Takeaway that was released not too long after Aaliyah's death, there would also be a star-studded music video for the tribute song dedicated to Aaliyah, a song called I Miss You, originally recorded by Ginuwine. It was supposed to be a part of his 2001 release, The Life, but it didn't make the album. Aaliyah happened to hear the song and absolutely loved it. She decided to record her own version. She wanted it to be on her Aaliyah album, but the record label disagreed, and it didn't make her album either. But ironically, the same song that they rejected would be the same song used to pay tribute to the late singer.
It's been too long. Tell me what I'm gonna do.
Aaliyah is in heaven. So we lost her on earth, but we're going to see her again. And her music that God put in her heart for us will always be with us forever.
She was the ideal woman that you can look up to. She possessed angelic qualities, which are rare. That's why she was singled out. And she shone and shined like a star in heaven.
I actually took the day off from work today to be here because we all love her and we'll miss her. Behind with the maroon shirt. On the cover with the maroon. Yeah.
Her last music video would also be released titled More Than a Woman that would reach the top 10 on the Billboard charts and it was #1 so many times on the 106 and Park show that they had to retire the video. Aaliyah's family would file a wrongful death lawsuit against the music video director Hype Williams and his Instinct Productions company. It was settled out of court for an undisclosed amount in exchange for Hype Williams being absolved of any wrongdoing. And Aaliyah's uncle Barry Hankerson would follow that up with another lawsuit against Hype Williams' company, not for wrongful death, but gross negligence, stating that Hype Williams' company failed to get Aaliyah proper and safe transportation. It's been alleged that he was awarded up to $90 million for the future revenue that Aaliyah was estimated to bring in. It's also been said that shortly before Aaliyah's tragic demise, her uncle took out 2 life insurance policies for the pop star.
When Aaliyah dies, I was with Barry when Aaliyah died for a wrongful death. He got paid $90 million for her death. Am I supposed to say that on TV? I was there when we went over to he got $90 million. He wouldn't stay at the L'Hermitage Hotel. We ate good, in deep mourning, right?
During her lifetime, Aaliyah prided herself on having a very mysterious aura, and in her death, that would follow, creating countless conspiracy theories, especially when it came to her relationship with R. Kelly. It captivates the public's attention till this very day. But according to Aaliyah's former boyfriend, Dame Dash, with the information that she told him, in his opinion, R. Kelly is exactly where he belongs.
Do you have any opinion on the R. Kelly situation? Do you think he got railroaded, or he's where he belongs?
Yeah, I think he's where he belongs. I mean, I know Aaliyah, so I know what he did, but yeah, he definitely seemed like he needed some help.
30 years. That's the sentence for singer R. Kelly.
I believe I can fly.
The 55-year-old fallen star learned his fate after being convicted of racketeering.
After her death, her music would be removed from all commercial media platforms. At the request of her estate, it would start a legal battle between her family and her uncle Barry Hankerson and his Blackground record label. It would be 20 years before her music was once again available on commercial platforms. Her uncle Barry Hankerson would often speak about the love that he had for his niece and how her death changed their family forever and put a serious strain on his relationship with his sister, Aaliyah's mom.
Interpreter of musical notes. She had a photogenic memory. She could read her lyrics and she knew them. So then she could spend the rest of her time performing, coming from her heart. I'll be very candid with you. Since the death of my niece, I don't have the same relationship I used to have with my sister. We were very close. But when you lose a child or a niece that you really loved, it was difficult for my family. So a lot of things in my family changed.
Despite the trials and tribulations she experienced in her young life, the ups and downs, she was still able to rise and become who she knew she was destined to be, a star. But in her passing, she would become so much more, an icon, an absolute legend, whose influence on the R&B world would be felt over 20 years later. In 2012, her father, Michael Halton, passed away due to health complications, and he would be laid to rest right next to his baby girl. She was truly one of a kind, one in a million. And Aaliyah Dana Halton, she was only 22 years old when she died. Rest in peace, baby girl.